You're watching the SCAC Spring Media Days. Today we're taking a look into the Colorado College men's and women's tennis programs. The Tigers, of course, are coming off a 5-16 season a year ago on the men's side and a 10-12 season on the women's side. Both teams advancing to the SCAC tournament third place match. The Tigers will once again be led by head coach Anthony Weber, along with junior Noah Forman and senior Simone Hall. And Noah, Simone, Coach, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, we'll start with you. You head into your sixth season as the head coach of the women and fifth with the men. As you've sort of taken inventory and looked back over the last few years, what is it that you've come to learn about the challenges of a new season that gets you excited at this time of the year every year?
Well, obviously, like this time of year is just great once, we've got about a month almost every year before we really kind of hit match play here, which is a tough stretch for these guys just to be out practicing day after day. And now we start the girls have played a match already, but we start getting heavy into the match season in about a couple weeks, and then going into spring break. That's always kind of the fun time to see exactly where we're at in the season.
Noah, for you, you've been a huge part of this program, on the court over your first two seasons, but now as an upperclassman for the first time and in your junior season, how have you kind of seen maybe your role shift this year, particularly in terms of a leadership position with this team?
I actually, coming into this season, do feel a little bit more responsibility as one of the older guys on the team. And we are blessed with having a pretty young team on the guys' side. So it's definitely different going in and being someone that a lot of the guys look up to, but it's something that I definitely look forward to, and it's definitely something that I really think that I can handle and that will progress the team. So I'm excited for it, and I'm excited to take on challenges being an upperclassman and in a captain's position this year.
Simone, for you, sort of similar to what I asked Noah, as a senior, what is your mindset? Your last go around, as one of the leaders on this team, kind of take me through, your mindset heading into this senior season.
Yeah, well, our team, just like the boys' team, is pretty young. And so just setting a good morale and team dynamic, I think, is really important, especially this year. And then as a senior, just, kind of reflecting on the past 4 years and thinking about what kind of change I want to leave on the program and just the type of team dynamic that I'm looking for. But it's been really great, so I'm excited to round it out this final year. But yeah.
Noah, for you, you come into your junior year, two-time All-SCAC performer. You were 9-15 overall in singles a season ago, 8-12 at that number one position. You also earned All-SCAC tournament honors as well. Take me through your game individually. What did you work on over the course of the summer and this fall to continue to improve and get better out there on the court for the Tigers?
This off-season, I feel like I've put in a lot of work in increasing my endurance to prepare myself for some of the matches that we're going to have at sea level, particularly in Texas, because conference last year was held in Colorado, and this year it's being held in Texas, and it's a totally different environment. So a lot of my emphasis has been on increasing my endurance and my fitness and being able to outlast some of my opponents, even the ones that have spent all season playing in Texas. And then also focusing more on my mental game and really trying to come into this season giving every match everything I have, leaving everything out on the court, and just making sure that every day at practice I'm trying to leave 110% out there and getting the most out of every practice that I can.
Simone, similar for you, last year you were 2-4 individually, playing predominantly at the number 5 and number 6 singles spot. As you've prepared for your senior year, what are the things in your game that you've continued to work on to try and make sure you're as prepared as possible heading into this year?
Yeah, well, I would say I'm much more comfortable or have been in the past in doubles, and so I think bringing in a lot of net play into my singles game and working on just different ways that I can work on getting into the net and finishing points up there. And then especially in my serves, I think working on those first couple shots into the point, so serves and returns. But yeah, looking forward to the singles this year.
Coach, Noah talked about his agility and sort of his physical strength and continuing to improve that, and hopes that will be a big part of his game this season. I know for you, strength conditioning is very important when it comes to your program. Speed, agility, dynamic balance, those types of things. How do you kind of implement that and put that message and make that a part of both your men's and women's programs?
Yeah, and I mean, we're pretty lucky to have the strength and conditioning staff here at CC is very good with some of that stuff, especially like the off-season workouts, the voluntary workouts that these guys can do. And we're it's nice in the regard with that large block of time going into the season, in particular this year. So last year, this weekend, we went to Southern California for a couple matches, so our season started off a little bit more accelerated than it has in seasons past. That is one of the benefits of having about 4, 5, 6 weeks some years before those first matches is we can kind of inch our way into it, kind of avoid some injury, and then can kind of make that final push going into like what Noah said. When we get into the C-level part of the year, we go to Orlando in mid-March and then 2 trips to Texas in April. So almost all that match play at that point is very physical on us, trying to translate from here at 6,000 feet to go to C-level.
Noah, for you, where are you most comfortable in terms of the type of style and game that you like to play out there in the court? Are you a big serve and volley guy? Are you more of a defensive player? When things are going well for you and everything is clicking, what is kind of the most comfortable you are in terms of your style of play out there?
If you had asked me a couple years ago, I would say that I was solely a baseline player. Growing up in Colorado, it's pretty easy to find players where you just kind of hang at the baseline, don't make your way into the net, and don't look to close points very quickly, because points at 6,000 feet don't last very long. But as I've kind of progressed through my college career, I found that I nowadays am most comfortable when I am in control of points and looking to close them. So kind of like what Simone said, as I'm making my way into the net and being more aggressive with my shots and looking to close more, I find that I am most comfortable there now, as opposed to just kind of staying at the baseline and waiting for points to finish. I find that when I have control of the point, and I know I have control of the point, it gives me a sense of relief and definitely makes me more comfortable on the court.
Simone, you mentioned in terms of your game feeling much more comfortable playing doubles. What is it about doubles that you enjoy so much? Is it a different mindset that you attack, when it comes to doubles as opposed to singles? And for you, what's kind of key in finding the right doubles partner? How do you find that chemistry?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think doubles, I really enjoy the net game, like I said before, and also there's just a lot more variety that you can do, especially with your partner and the way that you play the net. I love poaching and being really aggressive at the net, and so in doubles you just have that automatic position where that's where you can really end points, and if you're good at that, you can really excel in doubles. And as far as finding the right partner, I think there's lots of right partners, so it's really just making sure that you're working on things that will help both of your games within the context of doubles. So making sure that you guys that the team really has a good idea of what they're doing and what they're trying to do in each point, and having really good plans. So I would say it just takes time and work.
Coach, sort of sticking with doubles, obviously at its core, tennis is very much an individual game, but in our arena here at the college level, doubles becomes a huge part of the team aspect of it and can certainly sort of set a momentum for the match. What is your philosophy when it comes to doubles? Is that something that both of these programs work hard at? And as a coach, what is kind of key for you when you're trying to set up doubles teams as far as a bunch of different philosophies? You might not have sort of the same characteristics as individual tennis players, but together as double teams, they work well. Kind of take me through that process for you as a head coach.
Yeah, and obviously like in Division III, it's still a very, very important piece of the dual match. And being that there's 3 points awarded, I would say like in general in my time here, we've kind of struggled on the men's side in general in doubles, and on the women's side we've excelled in that. And a lot of that is just the personnel, the kind of pieces that you have. Is we've had kind of little scrappy guys, very similar to my style in tennis personally, on the men's side, and that doesn't translate very well to doubles, where if you have huge serves and big forehands, those can kind of take over on the double side. The women's, and I would say it's almost like two different sports, women's doubles versus men. The women, I almost enjoy coaching a little bit more on the doubles side because the tactic and those kind of things that go into doubles on the women's side is a little trickier, whereas the men, it's kind of you take a hammer out there and you just start tearing apart a tennis court. The women's side, you can kind of maneuver and have, not necessarily just the different plays, but if you can kind of get the girls over that risk return of taking like that calculated risk of, and Simone does a great job of this, of coming across at the net at the right time, there's a lot of opportunity on the women's side that I think kind of gets pushed aside. On the men's side, we do work a lot on serves and returns just to try to see if we can kind of get up, like Noah said in his singles game that he's working on. If you can get up in those first few balls very quickly, and you really have to be opportunistic on the men's side. So we definitely try to stress some of those things. And then depending year to year, some years we work a little bit more on singles. If that happens to be our strength on the men's side, we might focus more on the singles side and not necessarily on doubles. And then on the women, kind of depending on the year, maybe we don't have to work on it as much because we've got kids like Simone who've done a great job in doubles. And that changes year to year. And like Simone said, trying to find that chemistry, that's something that you're constantly kind of working at throughout the season. You might have something that you think works, and then all of a sudden that thing is gone and you're back to trying to figure out what's the next step going forward. So it's constantly kind of an ebb and flow, which is definitely people's tennis games overall. So it's very indicative and reflective of that.
And Noah and Simone, finally to wrap things up with the two of you, as you've had conversations with your teammates about the goals for these 2019 programs, what have those conversations looked like, and what are some of the goals that you look to accomplish here on both the men's and women's side?
Yeah, I think for us it has been focusing on spring break just because that's a very pivotal moment in the season, because that's when we're starting to play D3 teams and we're at C level, which is very similar to what will be happening at conference. And so I think going into spring break with a really confident attitude and just putting it all on the court, then it sets a really good standard for what's going to be happening later in the season. So I think really focusing on like the matches that are coming up sooner here. Yeah,
and I would add to that I think D3 tennis is a really great situation to be in because it seems like a lot of the guys are coming to practice each day, not just because they love tennis, but also because they're appreciative of the team that is around them. So I think one of the things that we're kind of hoping to gain from this season and we're trying to foster moving forward is like a really good team environment, as well as improving our tennis skills, which should be a goal of ours every season. We're also looking to create an environment where we can like feed off each other, get some relief from school, and kind of create an environment that's relaxing and competitive and fun. So I'm excited for it.
And finally, Coach, to wrap things up with you, for family, friends that are all coming out to support this program this season, for all the fans, what are a couple of characteristics or identities you really hope that both of these programs embrace and take on, that, regardless of the results of the matches, wins or losses, the people that support these teams will be able to count on match in, match out, and they'll be able to see throughout the course of the season?
Yeah, I definitely think, just toughness overall in the program, because, we have situations, in the past 3 weeks now where we've practiced in, when it's 30 degrees and 20-mile-an-hour winds and those kind of things, and we've practiced where we've been at indoor facilities at 5:45 in the morning, and that's probably going to go forward for the next few weeks. Playing in those conditions, and when you're not just feeling like 100% every time and putting that 100% effort out on the court, I think we've done a good job of that in my 7 years here, is that I feel like every time by the end of the year, we have a tough bunch of kids going into those conference matches at the end.
Colorado College men's and women's tennis programs. Again, the Tigers will head into the season under the head coach of Anthony Weber, along with junior Noah Forman on the men's side and senior Simone Hall on the women's side. Coach, Noah, Simone, thanks so much for joining us today, and best of luck as you head into the season.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.